I'm Suzi Landolfi, and welcome to Be Crazy Well. Now, why would a therapist say that? Because we all have mental health struggles, even therapists. The good news is we have so much more information about how we can be crazy well. On my podcast, we don't focus on what's wrong with us. We want to know what happened to us. We're going to explore how trauma affected us, both negatively and positively. That's right. I said positively. It's called post-traumatic growth, and it's a real thing. Be Crazy Well will share mental health wellness practices, the newest mental health research, and most importantly, how we all get to create the person we deserve to be and the life we deserve to live. So join the mental health evolution and be crazy well. So everybody, welcome to Be Crazy Well. I couldn't think of anybody crazier and more well than Jason Jarman. And I'm going to throw him a curve right now. Watch this, because I used to play baseball, right? So like I throw a curve. All right. Jason, I read your bio. You wrote this wonderful thing, which people have already read in the when we post this.
Okay.
Very few people do and write what you wrote, right? They're going to write all the good shit they did. They're going to write about all their military stuff and all like that. We're never going to get the inside story. And there's one little thing that I want to have you share about, because it taught me something. Now, I know you can't say everything because, you know, it's not a book yet. It's not a book
yet. Fair. I see what you did there.
Yeah. Can't get much past you. All right. So, when you first went to MVP, Merging Vets and Players, which we're both members of, I'm actually an honorary member because I'm a civilian and I'm not a professional athlete. You didn't jump right into it, or you jumped in, put your toes in and jumped out. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, because I was still kind of, you know, curious about, you know, the safety, the truth behind what everybody was talking about, the truth behind it. Are they, is it just lip service, you know, that kind of thing? Yeah.
Right, because you've already experienced that in your family.
God, my whole fucking life.
Right, your whole fucking life. And with yourself. So remember what it was doing to ourselves and others, what was done to us. So we don't trust others, but the real trauma of childhood abuse is we don't trust ourselves.
Absolutely.
There's two things going on.
Yeah, not making good decisions.
No, so I get a call from somebody, a member.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah.
And I realized when I was going through this with you, so I got a call that we had a member who was drinking and it was really struggling. And we also
we're going to talk about we're getting ready to talk about the moment that made me fall in love with MVP.
Yes. And yourself. But wait, that was the moment you fell in love with you.
Yeah, I can see where you're going with that. Sure. I don't know all the
because you were beating yourself up.
Oh yeah.
And
absolutely.
Trying to beat up us as well to see who was going to win.
Yep. Yeah. And who was going to stick around?
Who was going to stick around? Who was going to stay with you, right?
Yeah, that's really what it was for me. Who was going to stick around?
Who was going to stick around? So, you know, my family history, alcoholic mother, father, sister, brother. There's only 5 of us. There's the Al-Anon, that's me.
Yep.
And as I was going through this with you, as you were drinking, as you were, and as our program manager went over to help, and, you know, we didn't know if we should call the police and blah, blah, blah. And we're going through it with you. And you're in Seattle, I'm in LA.
Yep.
Realized that you were my brother at that moment. You were my sister. You were my mother. You were my father. You were all the people I loved that sometimes I couldn't stick with. And I learned how to stick. My brother actually was one that taught me how to stick with him, because I said to him while he was using, I said, I'm going to love you. I'm just going to love you until you're not here anymore. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not here anymore. Whichever comes first.
Whoever comes first. Yeah.
Whichever comes first.
Yep.
So here I am looking at you. You're sort of, you know, look like my brother in some ways. And I'm going through this with you, you know, miles away. And I go,
oh, I'm just going to love him and see what happens. Like,
Yeah,
I'm going to let
yeah,
him yell
yeah,
at me. I'm going to let him swear at me because you know me, I swear more than anybody. And I'm
yeah,
going to let him rail at me and I'm
yep.
going to take it and I'm going to stay with him. There's absolutely nothing he can do to push me away.
That's exactly what was happening. You know what I mean? Didn't know it at the moment, of course, but subconscious, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing stuff to make you not want to support me. You know what I mean? And I realized that looking back, that's why I literally fell in love with MVP. I mean, when the guys were leaving food at my door, showing up out of the blue, leaving work to come see, I cussed out our co-founder, and then when I talked to him afterwards, he says, listen, I know, because I'd met him, I don't know, a couple of weeks prior at a huddle, and he said, I knew the guy that was talking to me on the phone cussing me out wasn't the guy I met at the huddle. And so that forgiveness was there, and the understanding, because they've all been there. You've dealt with so many people like me. You saw me as Jason, and you saw this, stupid drunk asshole. Then that's all it was, the alcohol, instant asshole, or just give Jason alcohol. You know what I mean? And now I learned that, drinking just doesn't mix with me, and it leads to handcuffs. And I think the way, jumping forward real quick, I think that what I found the best that has kept me sober is, man, this life I got right now is pretty fucking awesome. And I'm loving life, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow. And I know what one drink will fucking do to it. So I'm done. You know what I mean? And it was that moment. I'm really glad you brought this up, because you're right. I didn't put it in my bio. I kind of skipped right over, but leave it to you to say no, because that's the key. Everything else is so true in it, and then you're like, but there's one little spot in there. And it's funny you say that, because I thought about it when I hit send. Should I have talked about that moment? So leave it to Suzi, right?
Well, the only reason is because that's my story too. Now it's not
Yeah,
alcohol. Mine was people.
right.
And and mine was self-loathing, and mine was lack of self-worth. So I was
Yeah,
overachieving and then
yep.
finding other people to give me validation. Of course, I picked only assholes to try to give me validation.
Sure, sure.
Right. And then I became one as well. So I think the point for me, Jason, was that's the story of many men and women in the military, in sports or wherever, that they're not clear how much they're struggling internally because they're so outer focused, right?
Right.
So when we can look at those moments where we go back and kick the tires one more time,
Hmm. Yeah. Yep.
that's important. You taught us something. You let us know if we're going to say, we've got your back, we better freaking have your back, right?
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be taking this stuff personally, and we should be able to hang in
Yep.
and
Yeah.
see the greatness of you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Because listen, I mean, um, I know the person I am. You know what I mean? I know the person that I am inside, and I know that I don't know. I mean, when I saw people doing what I would have done for somebody else, I realized that it wasn't just lip service, that this group really meant what they said. And everybody stuck in there. Like I said, what kind of an organization you can cuss out the co-founder, and then he says, hey, look, bro, I want to make you my program manager. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it right there. You know what I mean? That's it right there. Because they saw that, look, hey, it was a moment. And honestly, I think that relapse, because I was at about the 13-month sober mark after going through treatment and everything like that. And you said it best, the kick the tires. I think that's when I realized, isn't it funny that in treatment they always say, relapse is part of recovery. And I used to think that's stupid to say that. But in all honesty, this was my moment that I because I got out of it so much faster in the past, man. When I relapsed in the past, it was like freaking weeks, months, whatever. You know what I mean? I didn't care. But this one was so fast. I think it just needed somebody to not give up on me, man. And it was and you guys did that. And man, I'll go on forever about MVP. And I always tell people, you can shut me up anytime, because I'll just keep talking. You know what I mean? And it's just,
Well,
it's
you
amazing.
are MVP.
Yes, I am.
Right.
Yes,
So
I
the
am.
difference about an organization many organizations is they're top down, they're hierarchical. There's oftentimes there's a lot of people at the top wanting to help the people at the bottom. If you remember, this was bottom up.
Yeah.
So there's a thing about bottom up change and top down change. Top down change never gets to the bottom, and it never really helps the people they want to help. Our co-founders were two men struggling mightily.
Right.
And so what happened was they thought they were going to help you guys, right? One being a Army Special Forces, one being professional athlete. And what happened was they quickly realized that you can't help anybody if you're not doing the work yourself.
Amen.
Right.
Amen.
So MVP, and I would say many organizations, you got to start from the bottom. You got to find all that change happening in the individuals from the bottom up. When I was a video and film producer, I did some work for General Electric, and the head of General Electric wanted me to do a video of him about how great their product was. And Jason, I looked right at that guy and I said, won't name names. And I said, it's better if I go down on the factory floor.
Yes.
Those men and women don't like what they're making. If they don't think it's a good product, right, then I don't want to buy it.
Yeah.
You're supposed to tell me, for the shareholders, how great this product is and blah, 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 blah.
Of course.
You have no credibility.
Right. Right.
Me, I don't give a shit. I'll say what I need to say. And I went on that factory floor, and it was the first time I learned about bottom-up change. And every single member on that floor said to me, no one's ever asked us what we need to do better here, what we're doing well.
Amazing.
Like, no one ever did that. That's what happened. So why wouldn't you be a great program manager is the question.
Yeah, listen, when I've shared this with you, so I'll share it when we're on here, that after Jessica had passed, I moved in with my brother, and it was the, hey, let's look out for each other, which was code for make sure I keep you alive, Jason. And we lived right across the street from Tacoma Community College, little college. And I was like, what am I going to do with my life? Everything changed, right? So I went over and I was like, I want to be a drug and alcohol counselor and everything. I've always wanted to help veterans. I've always wanted to do that. I mean, my brother's been saying it over and over. That's all I ever talked about. So I went and enrolled into school, and I get through, the first quarter, semester, whatever you want to call it. And they just kept preaching. All the professors kept saying, self-care is job one, self-care is job one. And I was getting good grades, which I didn't in high school. I just made it through high school, but I was getting good grades but it just kept resonating in me. Self-care is job one. And man, I was still grieving Jessica. I wasn't ready to help other people. And so I went to the professors and bowed out gracefully. And they were like, well, we were going to talk to you anyway, because we kind of saw that, you know what I mean? And, but you're doing good, but why don't you go, heal first? And so I think that's when I moving fast forwarding to get MVP. When the program manager job opened up, I didn't apply right away because I was like, am I ready for this? You know what I mean? I want to make sure, because what this organization gave to me, I wanted to make sure I gave 110% back. You know what I mean? And so that's when Elliot, stepped in, was volunteering and everything. And I just kept watching the job stay open. And then finally I was like, yeah, let's do this. I think I'm ready. And it has been the greatest 7 weeks of my life. It's been amazing watching it grow, watching it do it and everything. That's the satisfaction. This isn't a job. My brother even said, he goes, Jason, you've been talking about this he was just at the last huddle. That was this big one with all the Seahawks and stuff. And it was a great moment. And he even spoke up and thanked the whole group, because he said, I had to come up here and see what changed my brother. And he goes, I had to come see for myself, what did him. You guys, he goes, because when he had lost Jess, he said, and John said this, he goes, Jason looked at me and said, I don't have a purpose anymore. And he goes, and you guys gave him purpose again. And so he was very emotional and thankful for that. So that meant a lot, not just to me, but to the group as well. It was really cool that he shared that. So, yeah.
You're out of all the members I've worked with, you were the one that instantly got the idea of the connection between child abuse, suicide, child abuse, and self-destruction. Because everybody wants to keep saying deployment, battlefield. And yet I kept hearing.
No, it made sense.
Yeah. Excuse me. I kept
You know, it even started before you, Susie, because I kind of the seed was planted in my PTSD treatment, because as I'm going through my one-on-ones with my psychiatrist in the intensive PTSD, she was bringing up how the childhood trauma, yes, she was bringing up how the childhood trauma would really was the groundwork for all of my trust issues and for all of my, all those other, push people away kind of thing, because, the people who were supposed to take care of me ended up taking advantage of me, those kind of things. So, and then you kept pushing it right away into MVP. And I'm like, wait a minute. So these are two people, who are very educated in this, and this might be something. One person, I always say, one person says you're an asshole, you might not be an asshole, but when 30 people say you're an asshole, you're probably an asshole. So when more people saying, hey, this might be the key, and I started looking back, because I never thought that, that what happened to me as a kid affected me, because I didn't think about it. But what I did realize is I'd pushed it away so long, it was under this little thin cover, and finally it's just starting to, want to burst out. And I realized that it was affecting me, and it shaped me, not just, but subconsciously, you know what I mean? And so I really started allowing that to happen. And I think that I'm proud of myself, because I want to be the guy who look, this should be normal conversation, because you know what? There's many of us that have happened to us. And this isn't me. It didn't define me. I was ashamed of it before. Those guys did it to a child. I was a child, man. I wasn't this grown man who could make those decisions. So I'm not ashamed of that it happened to me, because it was those perverted fucks that did it. I was,
and somebody probably did it to them, just so you
yes,
know, right?
Yes, you guarantee that. Yeah. So anyway, I'm a firm believer of normalizing this conversation, because look, whenever I start speaking about it, I see people in the group I'm talking with, they start going like this, and I see the eyes light up going, oh, okay, I can talk about this. That's huge for me. That's a lot of satisfaction for me there.
Yeah. And you said another very important thing, which you do a lot, is you said it planted the seed. So one of the things that's important is most of what we think about ourselves and feel about ourselves was either done to us or told to us. Your child, right? So the child is looking for guidance. It's looking for how to navigate the world through the people who are supposed to take care of them. I mean, we also have our own senses, and they're exploring. I mean, they'll pick up a leaf and go, oh my God, what is that? That's a leaf.
Sure.
You're right. And so we've got to be careful about running our lives based on what was told to us and done to us.
Absolutely.
And how we feel about ourselves. So you know me, I'm always like, most thoughts you have are not true. Most feelings you have are not facts.
Mm-hmm.
It's your actions that will define you.
Right.
Actually, it's your actions that will create you.
Right.
So a definition can actually change, or I look up words all the time, Jason, and I didn't make up that definition of that word, right? So why am I letting thoughts and feelings define me? Somebody else made up that definition of me.
Absolutely. It goes along with, I mean, if you start from scratch with a newborn and go on, and you start keeping that, keep that kid in a bubble, and you tell them that the sky is pink, they're going to grow up thinking the sky is pink, because that's what they're taught. I mean, and that's just a small example of everything that we're soaking in. And we learn that from the people who we're supposed to trust. And when they take advantage of us in a negative way, man, I didn't realize how much that really shaped us. I mean, it affected my first marriage. It made me realize that, I did things with my ex, who, the mother of my kids, that I didn't realize I was such a dipshit. You know what I mean? I take that back. I wasn't a dipshit. I was just uneducated in myself. You know what I mean? I didn't realize. I mean, I didn't have as much self-awareness back then as I do right now. And man, I wish I would have learned that earlier in life. That's for sure.
Well, that's that thing of you're at risk of doing to yourself and others what was done.
Yes.
Now, not everything. That doesn't mean both you and I have been sexually molested. That doesn't mean I'm going to be sexually molested.
I've always said that.
Yeah, I'm at risk of hurting myself and others in many different ways. And so tell me, what do you do now? So I love that you love MVP. And I also love when you're going to get to that moment where you're going to go, wait a minute, they're not doing that very well. You said 7 weeks. I always joke with people who are dating. I go, do not get involved heavily with someone for 6 months, because even Hannibal Lecter can be nice for 6 months before
Yes.
you dinner and your dinner. What's
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've been groomed. I know what that's like.
So,
Yes.
well, what do you do? 2 questions. What do you do? And you can use MVP as an example or not. When the shininess of something, wears off a little bit, or I don't even think it wears off. I think that there's shine and there's matte finish. There's these moments where we're not so wonderful and that we're human and we make mistakes. What do you do now when you look at us, either MVP or human being, anybody you're working with or living with or in your family? What do you do now to help you get through those moments of disappointment? Oh, I think we just lost you. Where'd you go? Oh, you froze. Oh, all right, everybody. He's frozen in the internet. Let's hope he comes back. Oh, here he comes. Are you coming? Oh, man, we lost him. He'll come back. You're back.
Leave it to technology. There you go. So we would left off. You can edit that out.
Right. No, I'm leaving it in. I said some great shit about you.
Oh, there you go. Well, I heard, because your picture froze, but the voice kept going. And so I was like, I hope this will just connect in. But you would ask me what I'll do after the shininess wears off. And it disconnected when I said,
in your life, like
yeah, so,
on.
and I said, I'm going to answer this as honest as I can. The fact is, I haven't in the past done well when the shininess wore off.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I think the difference now is because I have more self-awareness in myself, that I have actually like reached out with Elliot, with Jill, with Cody. And I said to them, if you see something, that me working too hard or going too balls to the wall, whatever like that, because I won't recognize it. You know what I mean? Because I think I'm just going, I love doing this. I love what I'm doing. I will trust in you because I trust you that you to listen to what you say. Hey, you need to take a step back. You know what I mean? Or this is affecting you, because I probably won't see it. And I promised them that I would do that, and you being involved too. If you see something, so I put people in my life that I have to listen to because I haven't reacted very well. Because I've had a history of not just turning to substance when things were bad, but self-sabotage.
Right, when things are good.
Holy shit,
You
self-sabotage.
probably do that even more.
Yes, it's all, and you taught me this. All of a sudden, your brain is so used to the chaos that as things are going so awesome, your brain's going, hey, where's that chaos again? That's why I adapted into combat so well, because it's chaos. That's where I lived. You know what I mean? And so it was great. Mr. Hyperactive here. Jessica used to go, Captain ADD, focus, Captain ADD. Look at me. And so I think that having people in place that I'm willing to listen to, and I will listen to them, will keep me grounded. For example, like this speech I gave, man, I get people calling me left and right. You're the face of the 988. And I'm like, slow down, dude. That's a lot to take in. And I don't want that. Right. I mean, it's been, like I said, 7 weeks, Suzi. A lot's happened in 7 weeks. And I want to stay Jason, I don't want to lose Jason, because all of a sudden, people start wanting me to give speeches or talks and stuff like that. I can't lose who I am and how I got to where I am right now. But I think putting people in place is my difference than I ever did before.
Yeah. And that's that idea of connection, not control.
Yes.
When I say to people that we're out of control because we have no connection.
Yep.
Then we try to take control when that's really, it's a myth. Any kind of control is a myth when you think about it. Connection is always what's important. For all of us. I was talking to a boxer the other day, really neat guy. And I said, you only win in the ring when you connect. And I said, you only win out of the ring when you connect.
Well, that goes along with my aha moment that I always share. And I swear I'm getting this tattooed. The guy says to me, he said, Jason, did you win any firefights in Iraq by yourself?
That's it.
What makes you think you're going to win any battles back here by yourself, bro? He goes, you're not. You're not. This isn't a tennis match. It's it's a football game. You need 10 other guys. You know what I mean? So
that tennis match of one, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's not, man.
Coming back. I'll hit another one. Nothing's coming back.
And it's funny about the control thing. Jessica's mom, very, a religious woman, very devout Christian. She'd always say, if you want to make God laugh, just tell him your plans. right? You know what I mean? And so, yeah, you got to relinquish that control, man. I haven't done well trying to control. So I have, I just turned 54 and I wish I would have learned earlier, but you know what? It's okay. I learned now, and everything I have in front of me, I deserve, like you said, I deserve a good life and whatever it is in front of me. And I've punished myself. Other people have punished me enough, and it's time I start celebrating Jason a little bit. And it's not cocky. It's just being happy with life. You know what I mean? It really is.
Well, if you don't celebrate you, if you don't think you're worthy, you literally cannot help anybody else, because you're going to
No.
bring your lack of self-worth to them. You're
Yep.
literally going to do that. I always joke and say, and I should use the Wayne's World movie, Wayne's World.
Sure,
So
sure.
I have to
We're
remember
not worthy.
my grandson. Yeah, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. I went, oh, that's a mental health movie. I should make everybody watch that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Yeah.
Worthy. Well, if you don't think you're worthy, you can't create anything. You'll create it from that point of view.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
That time. So here's maybe a little difficult question. So for those of us that were abused sexually, emotionally, financially, lots of ways.
Yep.
Betrayed because if people said they were going to take care of us didn't. So I didn't know how to take care of me. I made some mistakes as a parent. I made a lot of mistakes as a parent because I was parenting from my trauma.
Yep.
And I oftentimes say to other parents, and I go, well, you can go try to fix your children, but since you were the one that helped create a lot of that dysfunction, not totally, you're only one half of this, right?
That's right.
I said, so here's something interesting. When you change yourself, you have a better chance of helping them.
Absolutely.
When you change, you give them permission to change.
That's
Talk
right.
to me, because we even had this discussion. Talk to me. Has anything changed in your life with your children and your grandchildren?
Oh my God, it is so completely. And I'm glad you asked. This is just, I literally got a text from my oldest son who, listen, I have 3 kids. So Cameron, Brittany, Aaron. They're 29, 30, and 31. I always joke, say it was cold in Alaska. There was nothing else to do. That's why they're all a year apart. And so, Aaron is a quiet one, very quiet, my youngest. Cameron has stuck by me through this whole thing. He's my mini-me. But Brittany is still on the fence. You know what I mean? Because I've given her plenty of reason not to believe me. I should have turned down my my volume here. Sorry about that. So anyway, so Cameron all of a sudden texts me after a lot of this stuff's been happening with MVP, and his text read, Dad, I'm really proud of you. I haven't been able to share cool stuff about my dad in quite a long time, and it feels pretty good doing it. And mother effer, I lost it at that point. I was like, yeah, that was pretty awesome. Just because all I was doing, I didn't do anything trying to, show them. I was just doing me and living right. And he sent me a text out of the blue. Hey, I'm really proud of you. I haven't been able to say nice things about my dad for a long time. And so that meant I was doing the right thing. And so that's another motivation to just keep doing what I'm doing, because my dad left when I was 7. And when I got divorced, it was Jessica that actually, because I was only getting them on the weekends, that weekend dad shit.
Right.
My mindset was, I don't want to punish these guys over. I'm only getting them 2 days out of 2 weeks, so I don't want to spend time disciplining them. And she's the one that actually pulled me down to earth and said, look, you're doing them an injustice. You're being too much of a friend to them. You still have to be dad, even though you're only seeing them a couple times, a few times a month, And that really resonated with me, because obviously I trusted what she said, and she was right. I was just being their buddy, and you have to be a parent, you know what I mean? And so what I'm really proud of is, and obviously, and I'll give credit to, the ex-wife, the mother, they have broke the chain. They broke the cycle of divorce. They broke the cycle of addiction, because none of them have an addiction problem. And all 3 of them have been with the same person since high school, and they're in their 30s. So God bless, man. They broke the cycle. And that's what's great, because the cycle went way above me. You know what I mean? And, the generational curse, as that phrase likes to be called out. So very proud of them. And Cameron and I, he stuck through me, even though I didn't deserve it. I didn't feel like I deserved to be stood by, he did. And so it's pretty awesome.
So, the idea that Brittany and Aaron might have to kick the tires longer.
Aaron, I went to a show. I hung out with Aaron, and that's fine because, but Brittany, yeah, and it's all on her time. I realized that it's not my time; it's her time. Whenever she decides to say, "Okay, I'll give you a chance," and boy, and like my best friend Tom, I talked to him a lot. We were in the Army together up in Alaska, 36 years or so. We've been friends. But anyway, he said, "What if Brittany had given you a chance 2 years ago?"
Oh,
And then, you know what I
right.
mean?
And
And
then you're at
then
it,
you,
right.
oh my God. He goes, so just let it be on her time because, and whenever the universe, God, however you want to see it, when that happens, it'll happen right as long as, so if she'd have said, all right, I'll give you a chance. And then 2 years ago, what everything happened to me that turned my life around, wow, I would have never gotten her back. Never.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It
yep.
would have been one more time that,
Yep. And see, I told you. Yeah.
Charlie Brown and Lucy with the football.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
That's perfect.
That's what
Yes,
it would have been.
absolutely.
It's interesting. My daughter tested me for about a year. So she kept testing me, waiting to see if I was going to do what I used to do, like get mad how I was, whatever it was.
I sure would have done it as a kid. You bet.
Oh, yeah. And
yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, she's my best teacher. She's my best teacher. Because if I say I've changed, but you can say one thing or do one thing to get me riled again or whatever, I haven't changed. Right? I've got a nice new costume on, or a nice new mask or everything, but it's not deep inside, right?
Yeah.
You said it best. You said, I'm the parent.
Yep.
Right? I always joke and say, raccoon mothers, they don't take anything personal.
Yeah.
I don't take anything personal. Like, no, you're climbing the tree. I don't want to climb the tree. I watched a raccoon mother do this. And then that little raccoon went, no, I'm not climbing. She goes, nope, you're climbing the tree.
Climbing that tree.
That's
Get
right.
the hell up
My
there.
job is
That's
to
right.
help you take care of yourself.
Right.
So, yeah. And so, I don't take anything personal anymore. The other thing is I can look at my daughter and realize when I see her do something, when I see the OCD or the anxiety or even the depression, whatever it is, I can see me. I said, oh, I taught you that. It's kind of like when you see my grandson, hit a baseball, right?
Yep.
I go, yeah, I was one of those grandmothers out there teaching them how to hold that back because I played baseball. So the fact is that, I taught my daughter some great things. And I also taught her some things that came through my trauma.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I think it's important to remember that so that we don't have to get mad at them. We don't have to blame them. We don't have to worry about whether or not they're going to love us back. If you want something to love you back, go get a puppy.
Yeah, exactly. They're not emotional support children. No, that's for animals. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm not gonna steal it because I'll always emotional support.
With Brittany, I think that if I now I can go to her and I can literally talk to her and just be me. Where if I would have approached her 2 years ago, I would have been lying. You know what I mean? Right. I wasn't done. I would have been lying. And don't think that they can't see through your shit. You're their fucking blood. You know what I mean? They could look you in the face and go and smile and go, yeah. And inside their head, they're going, you're a fucking liar. You know what I mean?
Like
but now when I
meter.
speak, yes, the bullshit pegged, right? But now when I speak, there's no way, that she'll be like seeing something and go, because when people that haven't seen you for a while, when someone sees you every day, they're like, they don't see different. All of a sudden, wow, you look great. You've changed. You've lost weight, that kind of thing. So people notice when there's big change, and she'll notice. And I know she sees from a distance because Cameron, social media, there's good things about that,
there are.
People. Yeah, exactly. And so those things are happening. And like I said, it's all on her time. But if I would have, 2 years ago, tried to push, and got in there with the I'm sorry's, I would have totally ruined it. And so.
Jason, what's some of your physical, emotional, and spiritual practices? I like to call them practices, not tools, because I haven't picked up a screwdriver in months, so that's not going to help me. But a daily practice helps me. What are some of your physical, emotional, and spiritual wellness practices?
Well, I've just started getting up. I've missed a few because of just being tired. I've got to get into the routine more. Getting down to the gym with Cody a couple of weeks because what I did notice is now that I go into the VA and my blood work comes back, and my blood work's showing a guy who's never drank in his life, you know what I mean? And I don't want to mess that up. I've been given a second chance in life, with that, my health. Mentally, I've learned actually through Jill. Jill is an only child, and also going down to Oregon for 4 months, and like, and there was partial isolation due to COVID, really helped me with being alone with myself. I am very hyper, me, I'm very ADHD. Being alone with myself was it was actually hard. I mean, it was painful. When I first started learning about mindfulness, meditation, and everything, I always thought you just had to keep your mind clear and not think about anything. And I'm like, that's physically impossible for me, but I learned that it's the leaf on the river, so I think being alone with myself is something that's been helpful with me, and actually getting to know myself. And yeah, so just some alone time, which I never, because I love to talk, I love to be around people. I'm a social guy, which that never going to stop. But I think breaking it up and seeing that alone time is a positive thing when I used to think it wasn't.
Right, right.
Yep.
It's great.
Yeah, yep. Solitude's been really good for me.
So, how are you, like, you're only 54? See, I get to say that. I love that.
Yeah.
You're
Listen, when I tell people I'm 54, you know what my favorite thing is? You know what I love that? When I say I'm 54, they're like, you don't look 54. I'm like, yes.
So, and there's always a good possibility. It's like more happening now all the time that we're going to live to be 90. I mean,
yeah, who knows?
One time 54 was, maybe if you have a few years left, it'll be good. But now we know. So that's the other nice thing about why it's so important to keep your wellness going.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
Oh, I think loss does a big thing too. I lost my 2 older brothers and my wife in a 3.5-year time frame. And I think that when it's really that close to you, and I mean, and that thing, and it starts, because I'm like, wow, I mean, now I know how fragile life is. And so I think that it's that's been a big factor for me too. I appreciate the grass is a little greener and the sky's a little bluer to me these days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep. I do know that because I lost my father, mother, sister, and brother. There's only 5 in the family.
Yeah.
And they all died at 56. Actually, my brother died at 57.
See, that's the other thing. The oldest living Jarman's 63, and here I am 54. So I'm like, bro, you know what I mean? I want to break that cycle and everything too. So I got one brother left, and that's John, me and him, So
yeah, that's how you get to break that cycle.
Yep.
So many people don't want to talk about this because they don't realize. I like to not talk. I always say people, you deserve to be have wellness practices physically, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, and financially. Now, the reason why I say financially is I see it as one of the many resources, meaning that right now we have a drought here in California. So when I say financially, I think of water, I think of food, I think of air, of all those resources, right? Has that been difficult or easier to manage? Are you looking at financial wellness? How do you manage that? What do you do about that?
Yeah, so I grew up very poor. And because my mom raising 4 boys by herself, working 2 jobs kind of thing, and just barely making ends meet, power getting turned off, turned back on, all that kind of stuff, and I've just paycheck to paycheck. And I think that, when I went into PTSD program, and I was a 50% disabled, and I didn't apply for anything more, and all the counselors in there kept pushing me, you should just reapply and everything. And so when I was given validation by the VA that yes, we see what happened, and so here's some help. I don't need a lot. You know what I mean? I always joke and use the Forrest Gump thing. A man only needs so much. After that, he's just showing off, right? You know what I mean? I have a roof over my head. I have food in my belly. I have a car to get where I need to get to, and I get to go help vets and show them that there's hope for a living. I mean, that right there is as rich as I ever need to be. You know what I mean? When it comes to that. And I have this crazy Siamese cat that sticks to my side that shows me, reminds me about innocence, and reminds me about unconditional love, that kind of stuff. I put things around me that, I just like to be a simple person, Susie. You know what I mean? Simple is good. And I don't need a lot. You know, I don't have, I tried the fancy car midlife crisis and I ended up almost dead in it. You know what I mean? And so I realized that those things don't do anything for you. You know what I mean? They just, as I speak her into existence, there she is,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Trying to get my attention because I'm talking to you instead of her. You know what I mean? But no, it's for me, it's about simplicity. I don't need a lot in life. I have great friends now. I have a new family in MVP, and that is enough for me. You know what I mean? And because they give me the confidence and they give me the love that I've been missing, you know, for so long in my life. You know what I mean? Just the acceptance. That's the beautiful thing. For this goofy son of a bitch that I am, they welcome me every day, and and I know that if I'm not there, they're bummed, and that makes me feel fucking awesome. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
great. That's
That
a
makes
great
me
thing.
feel really awesome.
So,
So,
without giving up any personal stuff of another human being, because that's not our right,
yep,
how are you
yep.
different in your relationship right now at home? Is
How
that,
am I different?
yeah, how are you different in that
I'm
relationship at home right
I
now?
feel like I feel like I'm way more in charge of my life.
Right.
And I'm in a partnership that I'm more in charge of my life. Where I think with Jessica, as much as I loved her, I never felt like I deserved her. And so I wasn't willing to say no. You know what I mean? I wasn't
Yeah,
willing to say
I
no.
get that.
And I think that costs. And I fought myself inside a lot where I didn't say no to her enough because I thought if I say no, she's going to leave me. And there's no way I'm ever going to find another one like her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where now, you know, Jill, this one, and that's okay. I can say her name. She's proud of it. If I don't say no, she's, you know, she's the one that's going to be like, are you serious? You know what I mean? And we hold each other accountable, and it's a wonderful feeling. And, yeah, I think that that's the difference. And I'm more in control of my decisions, and you know, no, I want it this way. I want it this way.
Mhm.
I do love taking care of her. I do love surprising her. I write her notes, and I want her to feel loved. But at the same time, I want her to know that, hey, you know, I'm still me. I'm going to take care of me too, because I think that's what is. I think that's what's sexy to her. I'm a
Yeah,
man. You know what I mean? You know,
I
that's what
think it
makes
is
me
to
beautiful to her.
everybody. They'll
Yeah,
realize eventually that
yeah.
idea, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to cater to everything, which is what I think I did with Jessica looking back.
Yeah.
And I've even talked with her parents about that, you know. But I've forgiven myself, you know. I mean, I can't change anything in the past. I wasn't, you know, I
Mhm.
wasn't the best guy, but neither here nor there. But what I learned is, and it's helped me in my relationship now that I'm a lot stronger with my own decisions, and I think that's awesome.
You know, one of the things I've been saying to my grandson all the time, I did well in school because somebody had to. Everybody else was, either hungover or drunk. So somebody had to go to school. Somebody had to do. So that's
Yep.
what the blessing that I got from my family that struggled. Um, I learned that you need to have a full sentence. You need a subject and you need an object,
Yep.
and then
Yep.
you need something to connect them, and that's called a verb.
Yep.
So I was thinking about that years ago, and so let me just take a simple sentence then. Okay, I is the subject, you is the
Hmm.
object, love is the verb.
That was in my head when you. Yep. Yeah.
Oh, my head
Simple.
exploded. I was like, what?
Yep.
Wait a minute, it's not an emotion?
Yeah.
It's not an
Yep. It's an
emotion.
action. No, it's not.
It's
It's
an
an action.
action.
It sure is.
The emotion you get from loving somebody, which is a verb, or being
Yep.
loved by someone, which is a verb,
Yep.
is joy.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, we say we love ourselves and we love other people, but we treat ourselves and others terribly.
Yeah. When she says, Jason, I love you, I don't go, oh, I'm loved. No, no, I'm happy. That makes me feel
Yeah,
good. I'm
that's
joyful. You know
right.
what I
You
mean? Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
good. And
Yeah.
then
Exactly.
if I say I love myself or I say I love somebody else, yet I'm not doing those wellness practices where I'm allowing my irritation. So now I'm sniping at them, or I'm
Yeah.
sarcastic. I don't follow through on what I say. Then
Yep.
they're not going to trust that verb love. My
No.
definition of love is not congruent with it. So love for me is caring and respect,
Right.
and kindness. And you just named the most important thing. I can't tell someone I love them if I'm not taking care of myself,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I'm putting it on
Yes.
them.
Yes. Yep. Yep. And that's what happened in the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought I was doing it right, but you listen, and I was loving her with all of my heart. You know what I mean? But but I wasn't loving me, and that's where it started. And Suzi, and it started, what, I have this thing on my phone that says, maybe the bad things happen to you so that you can take notice and change your life, or something to that nature. I keep it on my phone, but you know what I mean? So bad things that happen sometimes give you the opportunity to go, you look at yourself and you either do something to change, you know what I mean? Like I did, or you just eventually let it just wipe you out, And so through you, I will give you props on this, have been able to learn how to say, you know what, Jason, you're a pretty fucking good guy. You deserve the life you have right now. People do want to talk to you, and I can look in the mirror and I say, I like the person that's looking back at me. And that's not cocky. I used to think that you're conceited, you're arrogant and everything. No, man, it's just recognizing that, and I'm not saying it because, oh, look what I've done. Look what I've done. No, because of who I am, because I care about people, because I'm a simple guy and I want what's best for other people. And that's what makes me a great person. You know what I mean? But I love myself first. And that's why I'm able to now help others and show. I love being able to talk about those subjects that a lot of people are like, oh, let's not talk about it. No, let's talk about this, because this is what needs to get talked about. You know what I mean? Child abuse. I'm not ashamed of what happened to me. Things like that. I mean, my addiction. I was an IV drug user. I didn't let the VA help me. I spent 7 years, doing heroin, putting everything into my vein. And an alcoholic when I got rid of all the drugs, because that's socially acceptable. I turned to all those things because I just wanted substance to take away the pain. And now I realize that I need to, dealing with life sober is so, hey, it's easier. What the fuck?
Wow. Why didn't someone tell me that?
Weird. Why didn't someone tell me that? But it literally is just, I'm so glad that I can look in the mirror and be happy with the person that I see. For finally, after so many years, because I thought people just wanted to use me for, because you get that, oh, you just want me for other reasons, because that's what child abuse comes from. You know what I mean? Oh, you're just being nice to me because this is what you want, something on the back end. You know what I mean? Right. So right. I got rid of that.
I know you did.
Yep.
So we're gonna end on in a minute, and I just want to give you an opportunity. Your self-awareness. One of the things that combat veterans taught me was situational awareness, SA.
Yep.
And as children growing up in very chaotic, abusive households, we already have that. We're looking at the situation all the time. Is dad coming home? He's going to hug me or hit me. That was my story. And one of the things that I realized was, if I'm looking outside of me all the time for the threat,
yep,
I'm not using SA, which is self-awareness.
Yep.
To make sure I'm not the threat I'm looking for.
Yep. Yep.
I might be the threat in the room. Right?
Yes. Yes.
So tell me, what is it that you do to make sure that the situation outside of you see that clearly, and the situation inside of you sees clearly? Can you give us a little bit about that process? So you go to an event, or you're in the huddle, or you're in the grocery store. What do you do now that's different about how you navigate the world?
So real quick, when you said self-awareness, I want to share one little quick thing, and then I'm going to answer your question. So Drew is a member who introduced me to MVP, and I remember, and I'll never forget it. We were sitting in a huddle. This is back 6-7 months ago. He said, man, I hope someday I have the self-awareness that you have, Jason. That stuck with me. I was like, wow, that somebody else noticed that. So what I think I have learned to do is Jessica used to say, hey, Chatty Cathy, who pulled your cord? I listen now. I listen, and I try not to interrupt, man. I'd listen, and I stare, and I look at you in the face. And because the ADHD folks, a lot of times when I'm hearing you talk, Suzi, I'm already thinking about what I want to say, because I know I'm going to forget and I'm really not listening to what you're saying, because and you used to do it all the time. Hey, Jason, breathe, slow down, breathe. Because I want to tell you everything in a matter of seconds, because I may not get that chance, and again, you may stop me or something. I think that's probably what's been my biggest help, is that I stop and I don't try to control everything when I walk in. And that's the ADHD-ness and everything. We like to put the label on it, whatever it is, that's okay. But I just know that that's been me, that I have to be in control. And I've just learned that I don't have to be in control, man. Give it over. It's freeing, man.
It's true.
My life is so much more free today than it's ever been in my life, Susie. It's crazy. It really is.
It's crazy. Wow.
And I'm in charge and my life is way more free. You know what I mean? I'm being held accountable for other reasons. And I'm way less in charge now that I'm in charge. You know what I mean?
Because you're so much more connected to yourself.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And your principles. You live
Yeah.
according to principles now, not just thoughts and feelings.
Yep. Absolutely. Susie, listen, I will always, for the rest of my life, you have done wonders in the last year in my life. And yes, I will give you the props that you deserve, because you have opened my eyes. Okay, I've done the work. Like I tell everybody in the vet court, all this thing, Jason, you've done the work. Yes, I have. But you gave me tools that no one else had given me, and convinced me that, that I'm worth it. And I think that you deserve it. Has been the three words, you deserve it, has been those three words that really channeled me to where I am right now. I really do believe that, because you can ask anybody that's close to me that I always say it. So thank you.
You are such a blessing in my life too. Know that.
Yeah.
And I'm honored to be
and I'm coming down to be with your horses one day. I don't give a damn. When I'm coming down there, I don't give a damn. I'll get a week off. We're coming down.
I can only hope and pray you will. And
we will.
Jason
Thank you so much for having me.
Program manager of MVP in Seattle. We're so blessed to have you. I can't thank you enough. And the thank you is what you're doing. Like your thank you to the world is what you're doing.
Amen.
And so I'm so grateful. I adore you.
Go Army. Go Army, beat Navy.
That's and our theme song, you'll love this. So it's written by a young man named Calvin Love. And it's called Be Your Best Self.
Yes.
Be Your Best Self. And he gave me
Love
that
it.
song. You can look him up on Spotify. He's pretty
I will now.
I won't tell you what his dad is, but he's his own guy, even though he has a famous dad.
There you go. There you
So,
go. Be your own self. I love it.
Yeah. Be
Thank
your
you,
best
Susie.
self. You're very welcome. Have a blessed day. Go.
Army.
Football.
Yeah. You got to be neutral. You got to be
I
neutral.
know.
Go somebody beat somebody.
Yeah. Somebody win.
That's right. Thanks,
Love
Susie.
you.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.